Ladies and gentlemen, we have shocking news this morning. Far left activists have staged an insurrection in Oklahoma. I know. We're still waiting on an update to make sure that everyone's okay, but it seems that the seat of government was seized by a group known as Trans Lives Matter. They stormed the Capitol to protest a bill criminalizing genital mutilation for minors. Yeah, it's an insurrection, I guess. I mean, that's what you'd call it, right? When a bunch of activists storm into the Capitol building. Yeah. No? What's that? The media's calling it a protest? A little protest? Okay, fine, whatever. All right, well, here's what's happening. A bunch of far-left activists are mad that in Oklahoma, they're going to ban drag shows for kids, and they're going to ban sex change surgery for kids as well. And there's something interesting to be said about this whole situation. These people are screaming and begging for the right to sterilize their children. I mean, look, the bill, I think it says here on Postmillennial, it would prohibit procedures to anyone under the age of 26. I saw other reporting saying 21, and 21 makes more sense, but we'll see. But I just find this whole thing fascinating when you have leftists who are demanding the right to abort their own children and now to sterilize their own children. On top of this story, we do have another interesting story that I think fits into this that we should talk about. And that is, mother admits she regrets letting her son, 4, transition to a girl identity and describes realizing her mistake was like leaving a cult after she had previously spent years being a true believer in transgender ideology. And this woman, appearing on the Trigonometry podcast, explains how she came to transition her son, how she came to realize they made a big mistake, and why they detransitioned their kid. Ultimately, she said, they make you think that the child is leading. But if a child plays with a girl's toy and then the parent comes in and says, you're a girl, that's the parent leading the child. The parent's always supposed to lead the child. The parent is supposed to tell the child what the child is. But this is an interesting combination of stories. And of course, there's more. Governor Kevin Stitt receives a standing ovation, calling for the legislature to, quote, send me a bill that bans all gender transition surgeries and hormone therapies on minors in the state of Oklahoma. Billboard Chris says, we've got more than one coming, Governor. Thank you. Well, let's start by reading the story from what happened at the Capitol. And then I'll tell you where I'm going with this one. And I'm just gonna throw it out there right in the beginning. Madonna got plastic surgery. Everybody is mocking and insulting Madonna's appearance. She does not look good. I'm not trying to be mean to Madonna, but she is an older woman and she got plastic surgery. She does not look young. She does not look better. In fact, I think she just looks worse, and that's why the media keeps talking about her shocking plastic surgery. Now, I want to point out, when Madonna gets plastic surgery desperately trying to look young, the media makes fun of her. When a biological male or female gets plastic surgery to try and look like the opposite sex, they're not, then all of a sudden it's the inverse and the media backs off and says nothing. But with all due respect, cosmetic surgery is cosmetic surgery. You are trying to look a certain way. Many individuals who receive cosmetic surgery, no matter for what reason, do not look average, I should say. Do not look natural. You end up looking different and discernibly having gone. It is. I'll put it this way: people can tell you got surgery. I'll put it that way. I don't care for what reason, whether it's transgender or for age-related things or appearance. People can tell for the most part. For the most part, I say sometimes there's good plastic surgeons, but look, even the lightest touch. I know some people probably don't think people know they got plastic surgery, but it's like, dude, look, you can look at someone's face. And you can tell if they got plastic surgery. Okay. Here's the story from the Post-Millennial. Trans activists gathered in in the Oklahoma Capitol Monday, stink bug, to protest legislation that would prohibit the sterilization and mutilation of children. Trans Lives Matter, they chanted. The legislative session began in the state on Monday, and lawmakers are expected to consider the Millstone Act, which would prohibit Oklahoma doctors from providing gender transition procedures or referral services relating to such procedures to anyone under the age of 26. And I yelled stink bug because there is a stink bug that was crawling on the microphone, but we took care of that little feller. There we go. All right, here we go. The bill would further authorize the state's attorney general to enforce the act, and those found guilty of violating it would be guilty of a felony and subject to license revocation, says a release from State Senator David Bullard, who sponsored the bill. Child abuse is a felony in our state, and mutilating a young person's genitalia should be viewed no differently. The Millstone Act will hold those who perform child mutilation accountable by making such activity a felony. Those guilty of such a heinous crime will be both legally and financially liable. During his State of the State address, I love that State of the State, Governor Kevin Stitt said, "Send me a bill." Actually, let me just play for you the clip, and we'll start from the beginning.
We must protect our most vulnerable, our children. After all, minors can't vote, can't purchase alcohol, can't purchase cigarettes. We shouldn't allow a minor to get a permanent gender-altering surgery in Oklahoma. That's why I'm calling for the legislature. Thank you. That's why I'm calling for the legislature to send me a bill that bans all gender transition surgeries and hormone therapies on minors in the state of Oklahoma.
Standing ovation. Look at that. The back. So weird. The political divide between the states, huh?
As governor, I will never shy away from calling out right from wrong. I will not be intimidated by partisan interest groups or make decisions based on groupthink.
Well, there you go. He said it right there, ladies and gentlemen. He wants to ban it regardless. Lawmakers proposed 17 bills targeting hormone therapy for minors, with many also preventing gender transition surgery for minors. Legislation preventing ARPA funding to any provider that performs the hormones or surgeries to minors is in effect statewide. In response to Oklahoma's move to protect children from the medical impact of gender ideology, as well as save women's sports and protect women's sex-segregated spaces, a trans activist and lawyer, Brittany Novotny, is forming a new political action committee in the state to try to block the legislation. Called the Securing Liberty PAC, Novotny claims the bills protecting children run contrary to the GOP principle of limited government. Oh, very, very funny. Novotny claims that protecting children from drag content is simply government interference in private lives. Funny how that works. We're not going to beat these bills by rehashing the same far-left rhetoric and playing victim. We're going to defeat these bills by finding common ground with Republicans in the legislature and helping them to see this isn't necessarily the winning issue they think it is. You know what? My current pop culture reference is Yellowstone, which I've been watching. And so that got me thinking about stuff like this, culture, law. For those not familiar with the show, that it takes place in Montana, and there's a conflict between a guy who owns a big property, big property, and a Native American reservation. And I was thinking about how they handle politics in that show. There's one scene where a guy shoots a guy, puts him out of his misery, and then the police are like, okay, we get it. We get why you did it, so we're going to cover it up or whatever. I'm just thinking, when you have a cohesive culture, like in this show represented by the Native Americans, the chairman, the chief or whatever, says, okay, I'm not going to bring up this one particular story because it would hurt a member of my family. Basically, some guys were attacking a young girl. Guy saves the young girl. Girl doesn't want it reported. They find the guys who are attacking her, they're dead. And so they're like, okay, we're not going to make a federal case out of this because it would hurt a member of our family. I started thinking about what it's like when you have a cohesive community and culture. During Occupy Wall Street, in the camp, there were several rapes. And I think one of the people who got raped, physically held down by a man, was a trans man, a biological female that was identifying as a man. And then a male, went in the tent and, raped this individual. It's horrifying. And the response from Occupy Wall Street was tell no one because they'll attack us. And that's kind of horrifying to me. But it shows how cohesive communities function. Meaning if everybody agrees with each other morally, religiously, or ideologically, you don't get this conflict and you don't get these protests. But what's happening is our culture is fractured in two, and you have the death cult that wants to sterilize children, and then, everybody else. The problem is the death cult has the institutions. It has the universities for the most part. It has the corporate press for the most part. So regular people are thinking that the death cult that wants to mutilate the genitals of children and sterilize them, or just outright abort the kids, are the norm and the good guys. I don't know what the solution is, my friends, but it looks like, Republicans keep trying to go for this legislative approach that I do not think will do anything. So long as the institutions are captured, it's going to keep happening. The way I phrase it, the law is irrelevant. And I had people saying on the show, like, we're in Texas. These are activists. Once the legislation bans these drag shows for kids, these strip teases for children, then we can stop it. And I'm like, it's already illegal. It's already illegal for an adult performer to take off their clothes in front of children. Or at the very least, there's no, here's what I don't understand. Drag is basically like LGBT burlesque. That's how they describe it. You already can't bring children to burlesque shows. I mean, maybe some states allow, I'm pretty sure they don't. But now they have children doing it. It's already illegal. If your pathetic, spineless police are not doing anything about it, no bill will change that. So sign them all day and night. Your cops are cowards who won't actually stop what is already illegal. Why? Because they're scared of insurrection. Now, is Oklahoma going to go and start arresting all of these people for storming into the Capitol building? They should. But they're cowards. Sorry, man, that's just a reality. Your police are cowards. The Capitol Police will hunt down every bumbling dotard who accidentally walked into the Capitol building, not from the fighting side, from the side where the cops opened the door and opened the barricades. They're going to go hunt those people down and lock them up. But your police in Oklahoma ain't gonna do nothing. They're going to let these people storm in and they're going to go, well, we respect the right to No, they should go and start arresting them. You know what? Make a point. You want to break in to the Capitol? Then you staged insurrection and send the state police to go hunt these people down. And I will tell you this. How much do you want to bet these people aren't even from Oklahoma? These are called the tourists. Now, I'm sure many of them are. Don't get me wrong. It's hard for people to travel that far. But these organizers travel around the world to organize protests like this. Here we go. Navalny claims that protecting children from sexualized drag is simply government interfering in private lives. We're not going to beat these bills by rehashing the same far-left rhetoric and playing victim. We're going to defeat these bills by finding common ground with Republicans in the legislature and helping them see it isn't necessarily the winning issue they think it is. House Bills 2736 and 2186 equate drag performances to strip club performances because they're the same thing, to be completely honest. They're literally the same thing. HB 2186 says adult cabaret performance means a performance in a location other than adult cabaret that features topless dancers, go-go dancers, exotic dancers, strippers, drag queens, or similar entertainers who provide entertainment that appeals to the prurient interest, regardless of whether or not the performance is for consideration. This is adult performers. Call them that. James Lindsay says call them, what does he call them? I forgot clowns. He calls them something clowns. And whatever. Groomer clowns. That's what he calls them. Groomer clowns. People who dress up in these shock outfits for children. That's what he calls them. Groomer clowns. No. Okay. Adult performer. That's what they are. Drag is for adults. Always have been. They are adult performers. That's all you got to say. That encompasses everything. Topless dancers, go-go dancers, exotic dancers, strippers, and drag queens are adult entertainers. All right, let's get into it. From the Daily Mail. Exclusive. Material girl. Plastic surgeons weigh in on what they really think happened to Madonna's face after unrecognizable Grammys appearance from excessive filler and Botox to facelift and nose job. Twitter went wild after she presented an award at the Grammys on Sunday. Many felt she looked unrecognizable. Unsurprisingly, many questioned whether the 64-year-old had undergone some form of cosmetic procedure. Questioned? Are you nuts? Take a look at Madonna on the right in 2001. Wow. I mean, she looked normal. Granted, that was 22 years ago. So that would have made her, what is that, 42 years old. Yeah, 42. Wow, she looked great. On the left, that ain't Madonna. That doesn't look good. I'm sorry. Madonna looks horrible. Take a look at this. We have a photo from 2018, and Madonna does look old. And you can still tell she's gotten plastic surgery. Fillers and Botox. What is the purpose of this surgery? Madonna does not look good at all. Who thinks she looks good? On the right, even with whatever some plastic surgery she's gotten throughout the years or whatever she had, and this is only 5 years ago, so she's 59, she looks aged, but she looks all right, you know, and I'm sure she got some surgery and that worked out. Then on the left, this just doesn't, it looks, it's the uncanny valley. Here's my point. Right now, everybody, I mean, look at this, 2002. She would have aged just fine. I don't understand what this obsession is, but sure, fine, whatever. And her ears, and seriously, her ears. I mean, she just doesn't look young. She doesn't look good. It's not attractive. My question is this: if you're 64 years old, and because I don't know, all right, I'll tell you, as I get older, you know, my attraction to women is relatively around the same age as me. It, you know, probably lags a little bit because that's probably just how guys are. But for the most part, as I get older, I see, you know, when I'm like in my 20s, I see a 40-year-old woman. I'm like, wow, she's old. And now I'm 36, going to be 37 in like a month. And I'm looking at like a picture of a 40-year-old woman and I'm like, oh, she looks all right. You know what I mean? Like, you get older, this happens. I'm sure all of you understand exactly what I'm talking about. If you're 64, and some of you I know are, when you look at Madonna, are you like, wow, she's looking great? Or are you like, like what happened to her? Because that's what people on Twitter are saying. Now, as a younger person, I mean, like just almost half her age. Yeah, she's not attractive. You know, I think she looked better as an older woman with wrinkles and less volume in her skin, like as what happens, and it's respectable. And I think now she looks, it's the uncanny valley. Here's my point. Yo, look, I want people to be happy. If this makes her happy, by all means, she's allowed to be happy. But I just want to point out how the media will insult her and people on Twitter will mock her. But what about people who get trans surgeries, who get gender affirmation surgeries? This is just cosmetic surgery. Your DNA is not being altered. Your body is just being reshaped to look a certain way. The difference is Madonna's apparently trying to look younger. I guess that's the point of plastic surgery, to look younger. Facelift to get rid of wrinkles because wrinkles make you look old because you want to look young. And nobody buys it. Nobody thinks she looks younger and everyone makes fun of her. But what about a trans person who gets plastic surgery, a male, to try and look female? And you're tall with broad shoulders and you have feminized facial features, but your voice is still very deep and people can still tell you got cosmetic surgery. Why is it that people will mock Madonna, but they won't mock trans people? No, I get it. Don't mock people. Like, don't be mean, I guess. I'm not trying to rag on Madonna for looking this way. I'm just saying this does not make you look good. And the reality for many people who undergo cosmetic surgery for any reason, some people do weird cosmetic procedures to change the color of their skin. Like, who was it? Was it Sammy Sosa or somebody's using bleach to make their skin white? Like, it doesn't make you look better. You look good like you. You look good who you are. Be who you are. But I suppose the argument is the exact same. Why anybody would get cosmetic surgery to look like someone else, because they don't feel good. And I don't know. I suppose the difference with, like Madonna is you can get a facelift, you can do all those things. It's not going to impede your bodily functions. For these children, they will not be able to have children when they're older. And these are some horrifying stories. I'll go in depth maybe in another segment on this mother admitting she regrets letting her son transition. But you just have so many stories of people who are extremely unhappy detransitioners. One horrifying story from a woman who posted on Twitter in a viral thread saying she missed her breasts and that every day she feels pain at having had them surgically removed because she was misled. She was unwell. She felt sick and she was told this would make her feel better. And it was not the case. So I can't tell you what the answers are. You know, right now you have some states, the country's being ripped apart. Oregon, Washington, California, they want to ban gas vehicles. Montana's saying they're going to ban electric vehicles to save the energy sector. You have some states banning abortion, some states making abortion limitless up to the point of birth. You have some states becoming sanctuaries for gender affirmation and some states banning it outright. So when I say civil war, what do y'all think? If half the states are split and saying gender reassignment surgery for children, sterilization, no gas cars, and the other half are saying the complete opposite, how can this country function? Now, at some point, as I've mentioned before, someone in Oklahoma, where it's illegal to castrate your son, will be involved in the cult and then take their kid and flee to California. This is what we're seeing with Jeff Younger's case in Texas. Jeff Younger's son was taken to California, where he fears his ex-wife will chemically castrate his child. Texas has not yet banned the practice, but what happens when it's illegal? And a parent takes the kid out of the state and then plans to commit a crime against them as per Texas law. Will Texas send rangers to California? Probably not. Will the federal government intervene? No, they won't. So what's going to happen? Sooner or later, some dad is going to round up the boys. They're going to get in their car and they're going to say, you know what we have to do. And they're going to set a plan and they're going to kidnap that kid back. And bad things might happen in the process. California might try and chase after him afterwards. But is California going to send state police to Texas for a crime committed in California? Probably not. But what happens when it's kidnapping and what happens when your government is leftist? Then the feds might go into Texas and it will not be pretty. But if Donald Trump or some Republican wins in 2024, maybe we see something different. And then maybe the feds do go into California to stop this. And then what does California do? We're on the precipice. This is shockingly insane stuff. So we'll see. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.